Hey there, nomads of lore. I'm Sean.
And I'm Jonathan.
And together we are Meeting Mischief, your home away from no home.
That's right. And today we're going to discuss our true and honest opinion on the Wheel of Time. It's not as good as we've been portrayed.
After cleaning up and taking care of business, we were told, we decided that it would be best to go ahead and change clothes and get things ready to go for you. All joking aside, in this video, we are going to talk about our current feelings about episode 5 of the Wheel of Time TV show. We had this thought, we may, if this video does all right, we may continue doing this always. And, I probably like many of you guys, our initial reaction to an episode is not always the same as our reaction once we've kind of had time to think about it, and once we process, once we watch some other reviews, and in this context, to watch some non-book reader reviews and watch more behind-the-scene things, and all of those, basically taking information. Sometimes our opinions and our thoughts change. And in this video in particular, our episode 5 reaction was definitely the most negative that we've been about any of them. We were the most, and so because of that kind of was where the thought process started. We're not going to get on here and say our real thoughts now, and our real thoughts is it's amazing and there's nothing wrong with it and whatever else. There are some things that we still are not our favorites, and it's going to, as we get into this, it's actually kind of funny because our opinions have in some places have almost flipped a little bit on Jonathan and I on how we're feeling. And so this video, our plan is to make this shorter. We'll see how that goes, and just kind of hit a few of the things that have changed in our feelings and thoughts about this episode. So what did you think about it?
So I'll get started. My thoughts about the things that I enjoyed initially have pretty much stayed the same. Actually, probably increased. I am loving Loial. I know there's a lot of people having a problem with his look. I kind of agree with that. I think they could do that better, but him as the character that he is and how well he's being played and the things that he's said is spot on, in my opinion. And we're all allowed to have our opinions.
We should have said that. I should have said that at the beginning. Yeah. This is our opinion. This is where we are.
And you know what? Y'all are totally. If you don't like him at all, that's totally fine. I'm not trying to change your mind about it or anything, but in my opinion, he's doing good. Yep. I loved the Egwene and Perrin scene and sequences, and the everything about Perrin, Golden Eyes, and all the thoughts of even him getting backstrapped, like it was gory and it was horrible, but I think it's just going on to build this character and push this character into where...
And a good way to transition the Golden Eyes.
Yes.
That was a very understandable in this medium way of that happening.
Totally different than the books, and there's nothing wrong with the way that it was done in the books.
Sure.
But this is a great way to do it. The little Egwene channeling fire and, all the things. I loved all that. I loved the shot of maybe Perrin channeling, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. With Mat... And the Rand sequence, the Mat portion of that, I'm having a little bit of an issue. I think he's doing a beautiful job. I feel like it's being rushed, but it's only in its
plot line.
That plot line is being rushed a little bit, and it's only because I enjoyed how long that took in the books, and I know that
all the different things that happen.
Yeah, there's so much tied to it. The Shadar Logoth, the dagger, and these are all spoiler things that we're gonna catch. But anyway, Shadar Logoth, the dagger, the Padan Fain things, all the stuff that's tied to the storyline. But I understand why it's being rushed. So I'm still enjoying it. I love the little Logain sequence where Logain is kind of laughing at him, but it's, just what Mat is seeing because he's
or it
going
seems that way and
of
what's going on.
Yeah. And of course the spotting of Padan Fain and different things like that.
Appearing to stalk the boys a little bit.
Yeah. And I am enjoying the little bit of Nynaeve that we got to see, of course. And really the only so the problem that I had initially and we had initially is the main storyline, which is the portion with
point of
Steppen.
the episode.
The point of the
Yeah.
episode to show the tie between Aes Sedai and Warder. And or the bond, and so looking at that, I still am not thrilled that that's the main portion of this episode. I still would rather them have spent the time that they spent on that on something else. I think there's so many things that they're going to have to cut from this because of how short this whole thing is going to be. That are things I'd rather see. You know, there's going to be something in the future they're going to cut. I'm going to be like, man, if they had spent that
Right.
whatever time, you know, on that, then it would have been better than on Steppen on specifically. So,
But
but
we really have to have Tom Bombadil? I mean, I'm getting my things confused.
so, but having said that, I went back and actually scrubbed through and tried to see about how long they spent on
actual
everything,
time.
how much actual time. And so the first 3.5 minutes is the
Funeral.
Corrine funeral, and
Which most people have expressed being okay with.
I loved it. I
Even
don't
though
have
they
a
didn't like this
problem with
episode.
that. Yeah, I loved that one. And then we've got like 4.5 minutes with the two Alana's two warders and Steppen and Lan, where they're kind of consoling him, whatever. That one I'm kind of on the fence about. I could have done with that being a little bit shorter, but I loved the ring ceremony that led into, and I think some of that was needed for that. And then we fast forward, we have a little scene with so that's 3.5, 4.5, and now we have a little like 30-second scene with Nynaeve getting the tea. I think that's totally fine. And then we have a couple minutes with Lan prior to, you know, the night before or whatever.
Yeah.
Just kind of building that, trying to help him step in with what he's going through.
Right.
And then we have the last, it's about 12 minutes.
Funeral.
The death and the funeral all
yeah.
wrapped
Yeah.
together. And so really we're talking about 12 to 15 minutes of time that they spent on this one thing. And when I look back at that and realize that it's such a short time, it doesn't bother me near as much as I really thought, because there's so many other things that are happening in this episode.
I think that because that was the point of the episode, clearly, I think it felt like we spent more time
On it.
actual time than we really did.
Yeah, and if you add all those together, we're talking like 25 minutes or something. But I think a lot of those scenes, even if we hadn't, I think I'm okay with a lot of those. I think we needed the Corrine funeral at the beginning and some of the other ones. So anyway, all that to say, I think I still don't like it, but looking at how much time was actually spent on it, I'm a little bit more okay with it.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Tying off of that, before I really, really briefly, before I discuss where I'm thinking about and feeling about this episode, wanted to just as a tie on to that, wanted to really, really quickly address basically the first part of a comment we got, and the person's statement was that a lot of people in the comment section, and I don't know whether he was implying us or not, but were misrepresenting some of the people that didn't like the series, and I thought that was worth addressing, because as that, you know, there are some crazy book purists that think that it should be just exactly like the book and nothing taken out and nothing whatever, and those people are slightly insane, and those people should be ignored. And I'm speaking tongue in cheek and being a bit ugly, but that's like, okay, duh, that's a pretty small, probably a group of people that don't like the books. There are some of those people. They do exist, and those kind of people are like every other issue in our society. They're going to scream really loud, and those people are going to make a lot of noise. And so we tend to think that everybody that hates the series doesn't like this. And we want to make sure you understand we are very okay with you not liking the series.
Yeah.
And if to put it in context, we understand sometimes nostalgia points and something being very important to you, you tend to look at things differently. And also, really quickly, because we wanted to make sure, we wanted to address
We want to address sourdough. About a week and a half ago, we were a 350-ish subscriber channel prior to all of this Wheel of Time stuff. And we just want to let you know that we're so honored and thrilled by the thought that we might be getting a little pocket change from Amazon.
It's flattering
for our thoughts on this series. Let
Thank
me
you.
assure you, we are not. To this day, neither one of us have been paid in any sort from all the time we spent on all of this stuff. So,
In any way, not from
yeah,
YouTube either.
not from anybody. But and we're not complaining about that. I just wanted to
Yeah.
address sourdough.
So
We love you, sourdough.
we appreciate
We appreciate
very
you.
much. So
So, what are your thoughts on
as
this?
we're chuckling,
Yes.
and, brief PSA over. Hopefully that was actually brief.
Yeah.
It didn't feel brief, but hopefully when I edit it later, it will actually be brief, me or him. But anyway, so my thoughts on episode 5 have actually surprisingly, and this, I mean, I tend to be a fairly positive on things and tend to like to look at things and find the good in things. That's just how good in people, for that matter. That's just my personality. I tend to try to look for the good, and so that's probably affects it. My feelings, my personal ones, have almost completely flipped on this episode. It's not my favorite. I don't even know at this point what I would call my least favorite episode of the 5 that have been released. I don't know that I dislike this one any more than any of the first. The episode 4 is still my favorite. I can say that right now that is still true. But I think the other ones, I don't know which one. It would probably depend on what I was thinking about at the time. But after thinking about it and looking at the land stuff, I really, really like some of the symbolism of, Ray talking about the sound at the beginning being a sound that only a woman can make, and the sound at the end being only a man can make, and some of those symbolism things, and
Funeral at the beginning and end.
yeah, and really, and I talked about this in our reaction, and so I was kind of starting to sort of kind of head down this road, even though I was more negative at the time. The thing that really started and triggered, and I won't go because I talked about it in there too, but was Daniel Henney's talk about the thoughtfulness of thinking through who this is how Lan would react, and that funeral scene and his over the top stuff there, and as far as the step
because of duty.
Yes, exactly. Because of duty. And it goes to that, and we've, as been pointed out by several commenters on our video, it ties directly into the big Manetheren line, Malkir line of duty is heavier than a mountain and death is lighter than a feather. The first part of that. Lan would if that was the funeral custom and he was the designated mourner, he would absolutely feel duty bound to do the best he could to express the grief of the group and all the things that are implied there. And so I really have I've come full circle on that one. I really like that end. And I actually like the thematic elements of the beginning and ending with a funeral. I'm a sucker for lore and interesting things. And it's kind of that English class looking at that themes and symbolisms. Yeah. And there's so much of that in it, and I really like that. Again, like Jonathan said, we didn't spend. I think that Warder Aes Sedai bond and the breaking of that bond is, without getting into spoilers, is so important for so many things, and not even just the one that we've implied and even stated in our spoiler-filled thing. We talked about out one in particular there, but there are so many times in that bond and the breaking of that bond and the forming of that bond is so important in the series that making sure that non-book readers understand that so well, I am honestly at this point very okay with it. And like Jonathan even mentioned, the acting of it was phenomenal. And one thing Jonathan didn't mention that is, and I noticed this on a rewatch of this episode, very, very pointedly, is when Lan actually comes to find Stepan. His reaction is unbelievably perfect. Lan, he is extremely stoic.
Yep.
Zero emotion, almost uncomfortably so. I think is the word you use.
Yeah, I forgot to mention it in our. I was going to talk about it in our spoiler filled discussion a little bit because I had noticed it, and if you watch that scene, it's like, okay, he's not he does he sits down on the ground, but for somebody to be that close to somebody else, there's going to be a little bit more reaction going on, and even the little bit that he gives is just a little bit. It's just a little bit awkward, which is. It's the stoicism that we're seeing from him. Anyway, go ahead.
And so and I like Jonathan said, all the stuff that I already did like, the Egwene stuff. I'm loving seeing Egwene. I'm excited for the future of her character. Is it Madeline? Is that the actress's name? I think so. She's we haven't seen much of her yet, but what we did see, especially in this episode, is great. So all the stuff I liked before, I still like, and the stuff that I didn't, I have pretty much completely come around on personally. And it's not because of us we're being paid or anything else. Joke. That joke still holds. It's it is just me looking at different things. And again, I try to find good. That's my personality.
Yeah.
Sorry, so sue me. Whatever else. And I really like this episode now. Although I will mention, after having time to process, I don't love the look of Loyal. I do think it looks goofy, and I think the hair was a stupid choice. It's weird and
looks
goofy.
A little clean on to me.
Yeah, and I don't love the look of him, but I 100% agree with the writing of. And I don't think the look is that awful. Like, it's not so off-putting that I'm gonna hate it every time he's on the screen. It's just not my favorite. I think the hair was the weirdest choice. I think that just kind of And I don't know if that was trying to make him look more kiddish and kind of feel, or what, I don't know, or more different because it's just hair than a human. I don't know why they chose to do it that way. But he also, and I said this even in the trailer, that I don't think he's big enough. I'm glad that his hands are huge, and I don't think we got a scene of him holding a teacup. I hope that they have something, little teacup. And so I like. And so there's things that I do like, but I do think the acting and the writing of him is spot on and amazing. So really like this episode. Some things we're still not liking, especially Jonathan, and it's less liking on some things. But overall, still a great show in our opinion. If it becomes to where we've said this before, but if it gets to the point where we're like, this is not a great show, we're not liking this anymore, we'll just stop making videos. We will not be putting out fake positive content.
We will make a final video of
this is why we're checking out.
This is why we're checking out, but that will be it. But I don't think that hopefully that's not going to happen. So I do want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. The comments for 90%, 99% of them have been off the chart. Even the negative ones.
Even the disagreeing ones.
The disagreements and the questioning of things. I love to be able to go in there and it's something Sean said earlier. I'm agreeing too. I get up in the morning like, oh, look at all the comments we got. We get to talk to people and stuff. It's fun. We're totally enjoying it. Leave a comment down below about if you've changed your mind on anything in this episode, or if you're liking it more or disliking it more or whatever. Love to hear about it. Subscribe, ring the bell, all the things. You guys have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.